because we're people of color, we have to be twice as better and twice as sharper. I do see technology growing and advancing, and it will hurt a lot of people's businesses. I think what's really changed from then till now is the human factor.
Welcome back to Real Estate and Chill. We got my boy Carlos in the building, broker, owner of InstaHomes. As always, you know, it's $1 million episode. Carlos, we appreciate you driving from BK, man.
Yeah, it was a bit of a trip. I was a little worried that whether I'll make it on time because I was watching that navigation go up and down like I'm watching a stock market, man. I'm like, oh man, looks like I'm making on time. Now they added 10 minutes, I'm gonna be late. So
it's like the rates, right? Going up and down.
You'd like the rates, exactly, right? Oh my
So just give our audience like a brief introduction of who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Carlos Garivia. I'm the broker owner of InstaHomes Realty. I've been in the industry since now 2003.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
before
man.
The crash.
Yeah, man. Yeah, before the crash. So don't let the baby face fool you. I am a OG, right? I just turned 40 years old in December.
Way.
Yeah, I'm 40, bro.
Nah, you can't tell at all, bro. Right? What do you think, Mike? Not at all. I thought you were like early 30s.
Well, if I was in my early 30s and I started 2003, what was I, 10
Bro,
years old?
The math ain't math. I don't know. I'm just saying, you don't look 40.
Yeah, I am 40. I started in 2003 as a loan originator.
Okay, so mortgage side.
Mortgage side, yeah. And like you said, I was with that till the market crashed in 2008, where a few years, after the crash began. Like about 2010, I pivoted into real estate. So I've been in the industry for some time, experienced some good times, bad times, ugly times, depressing times, right? I started off as a loan originator, which was the Wild Wild West era, right? I was a 19-year-old kid, with no direction really. I had a friend of mine, who was, who presented me an opportunity, right, to do better with my life, because I decided not to go to college, right? I decided to, live a lifestyle that wasn't really much of a future in it, right? So now there wasn't a retirement plan, nothing good to come out of that. So, he presented me the opportunity to check this mortgage company out. And when I first went in there, I took the job. They gave me the job opportunity, and I took it because I didn't see the opportunity in mortgages. I just saw opportunities like, oh man, maybe this could help me with my other business, right? And and I saw that as the initial opportunity, which I didn't take it serious at first. And my manager, who was like this guy, I think he came out of Belfort's office, right? He had this energy, this whole setting where it felt like the boiler room, right? Where you just had all these young kids on the phone, just hitting the phones, right? Just pounding the phones. And, one day he pulled me to the side and he says, listen, I like you. You're a sharp dresser, really sharp kid, right? You're a sharp dresser and I like you, but, I know what you're up to. And that's only good for your business, but that's not good for my business. So he says, just like this, he goes, so you got to the end of the day to produce 3 leads or you're clipped, right? And
No pressure.
Yeah, no, no pressure, right? But again, I saw, I didn't see the opportunity. All I saw was what was about to be taken from me, right? I was like, no, I don't want this to be taken from me, so let me get to work and let me see what I can do. And that day, bro, I unlocked that skill set, right, of knowing how to hit the phones, right? And in those times, we were cold calling, right? I was a loan officer calling not realtors for purchase business. I was calling homeowners to do refinances, right? And in that era, a lead wouldn't be considered a lead unless I got the person's social security number at the end of the conversation, right? So I started off in an era where there wasn't Google, right? When people can just like look you up and look up your company and find you on social media to validate who you are, right? They would just know my voice, hear my company, and I would just pitch them, stick to the script, and then ultimately, ask them for their social security number, right?
Which is tough. Like that wouldn't fly nowadays.
Nah, no, it wouldn't. But a lot has changed. I know you asked me in like some of the questions of what has changed from the mortgage industry from then till now. Aside from the obvious, besides the adjustable rate mortgages and all these sophisticated programs that were just really not geared to helping people be successful with owning a home, more geared towards who, the most bang, the most points that the loan officers can make, right? So aside from that obvious, um, I think what's really changed from then till now is the human factor, right? I think you have to be more human today than you were then. I mean, the sales tactics and the approach of how I was speaking to people then wouldn't work today. I think it would turn people off. It'd just be like, it just wouldn't work. I mean, people are more sensitive today. I don't find that.
Yeah, that's definitely a fact.
Yeah, So, but yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't impossible. I don't think it's an impossible feat to accomplish. It's just method and technique and resistance and I mean persistence and consistency of just hitting those phones, right? One thing I always gravitated to you about you is how big you are about hitting the phones, right, and just making those calls, right?
I mean, the old school still works, bro.
Yeah, for
You just
sure.
got to be consistent with it. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
You know?
You gotta be consistent. You gotta struggle with it. You gotta be able to struggle with whatever you're doing. Like I was having a meeting with my team yesterday, and I asked them, I'm like, and I said to them, I said, I don't think a lot of you have failed enough, right? I don't think a lot of you are failing enough, right? Because through failure is where you become better, right? And you become
Yeah.
resilient, right?
Once you hear those million no's, you're like, nah, I can't.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear this anymore.
exactly, right?
You know?
And you got to embrace that. You got to welcome that, right? Failure is a part of the process, right? Like I went to this that Gold Bar event last week, right? And I was invited by Karina Tom from New World Title, right? One of my great favorite relationships, right? She invited me, and I went down there, and I went to this event, right? And one of my biggest takeaways from that was, as everyone's telling this story, Josh Altman, Ryan Serhant, Ricky Carruth, right, and all these heavy hitters, right? They all talk about, you know, their failures, right? Like they're not really talking about what they're doing right? They were speaking a lot more about all the things that went wrong and how much they had to struggle, right? And I think a lot of people overlook that, right? They just want the low hanging fruit, right? They just want whatever is easy and reachable to just pull down and eat, right? But they don't understand it doesn't work that way.
Especially now, a lot of people want instant gratification.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's in this industry that's not realistic. Real estate, I think it's more of a I mean, from comparing it to mortgages, it's more like a sale, like, sell the realtors or sell the customer into the rates and sell them into the payments, right? As realtors, our sales skills, our sales approach is entirely different than most industries, right? Because again, we don't make money until the end,
And
right? So
sometimes it doesn't even happen.
sometimes it doesn't even happen,
You know,
right?
sometimes those deals don't even close.
Right? You work on a listing, you work with the buyers, and after all this time invested, sometimes you don't even make the money, right? So, it's important that we are treating our prospects and the people that we're dealing with like humans, right? We're engaging them, we're empathetic, right? We're not just looking at them as just the next check or the next bag, right? It's like, no, I'm looking to establish a relationship, right? Because it's a nurturing game, right? And that's the thing a lot of people don't have the patience for. I'm learning in real estate is understanding that this is a long game. It's not a short game, right? There's no instant gratification. It's like, no, hey, listen, someone's gonna walk into my office today, and if they want to buy a house today, they could leave my office today with a house.
Yeah, it don't work that way.
It don't work that way.
Yeah,
It's
it
not like
doesn't.
the dealer. You could walk into a car dealership, say, hey, listen, I want a car, leave that same day with a car, right? In real estate, it doesn't work that way, right? It's a long process. You have to get the people pre-approved. You have to show them the homes, and then make the offers, and then get the offer accepted. Blah blah blah, right? And you do all this upfront work for free, right? And that's why I say a lot of people aren't willing to struggle with their business, man. They're not willing to go through those 1,000 no's, right? To get closer to that one yes, right? So, you got to be willing to fail, and I think that's what I love the most about my journey is that I'm a risk taker, right? I'm the kind of guy that's gonna jump off the cliff and figure out how to open up the parachute on my way down, right? And sometimes I've hit the bottom and fell, right? But then there's times I open up the parachute, right? And for me, it doesn't, there's no loss in it, whether I open up the parachute or not,
You
right?
learn something new.
I learned something new, right? So, and it's made me who I am. I look back at my career sometimes. I'm like, damn, man, maybe I should have done things a little differently. Maybe I should have went the InstaHomes route. Maybe I should have went with the bigger brand first and, try to branch out from there and stuff. But that's not me, man. You know, I, I like I'm all about risk, right? And I'm never afraid to fail, right? And especially, I guess, because I'm in a position where, I don't have children and that situation where I feel like, all right, fuck it. Excuse me, can I curse?
Show is yours, bro.
I'm just saying, well, I'm like, fuck it. You know what? Let me take these risks, before life gets real, right? And I know some of y'all probably saying like, damn, bro, you 40 years old. What are you waiting for, right? But I mean, I just don't believe in rushing my process in anything I do.
And especially with social media now, a lot of people, what they do is just compare themselves to other people's journey.
Yeah.
like,
And that's tough, even for me, because sometimes, I look at people, and you could look at my history and say people like, maybe, not feel intimidated, but I do sometimes. I'm like, no, man, that is like, sometimes I get that FOMO, like, I'm missing out by not pushing myself out there, right? But again, what I'm learning and what I'm seeing, especially through you, is organic and authenticity is always going to outlast.
You can't fake it.
You can't fake
it's just
it, right?
being you.
So going back to like before we started the podcast, right? Keep on plugging away and doing what you're doing because it's inspiring, right?
I appreciate that.
What you've been doing for me, being a little, I guess, older, right? And being old school in that way, in that sense where, camera, social media was never my thing, right? But now, like seeing you do it, I'm like, shit, that's inspiration. Like, you know what? You're inspiring me with that, man. So, and with you, I mean, you create that feeling to me like a little bit like, damn, I'm missing out because it's like, because it's evident, right? When you share your story, people are gonna listen.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have a real story, people are gonna gravitate to you, right? And help you build your brand, build your business, right? So.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about this off camera, and not only that, but somebody said something about me. Like, hey, there's going to be haters everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
So somebody said, oh, he's a social media realtor. And I just started like laughing because majority, bro. I popped up on social media in 2021 when we started this, right?
Yeah.
All my success has been off camera.
Yes.
I just knew when COVID hit and I started seeing everything, the change that was coming. Everybody's virtual. Everybody's on their phone. I'm like, damn, we really have to navigate and pivot and get on social media. Like this is
this is
going to be the wave
for it, right? I mean, listen. To tap in on that, I almost did the same thing, right? But I wasn't as consistent. Once things started picking up, I just like say, let me focus on the business. Let me not focus on the content creation, right? But I mean, listen, first of all, if you don't have any haters, that means you're not doing anything right?
That's a fact.
And to me, haters confuse admiration, right? And people just don't know how
Preach!
Right? They just don't know how to channel that, right? They just looking at you like, damn, I don't like them, but I can't stop looking at them.
Bro, do you know how many people watch my stories that don't follow me? And it's the same consistent people? I'm like, bro, this is just weird now.
Yeah, but it's confused admiration, man. And that's the thing, like, you can't talk the shit you talk if you wasn't putting in the work.
Exactly.
And I heard you. I've been paying attention, right? Since we started following you, since we started following each other, like, in the beginning, I would always hear it, and I gravitate to you saying, like, yo, man, I just hit those phones. I cold call, right? Like, I knew you weren't a realtor, a social media realtor, right?
Yeah.
I could tell the difference, right? Because when I have the conversation with those realtor influencers, right? And I talked to them about, hitting the phones, like, nah, I can't do that. I hate that. I do, everything through social media, through that, right? And I don't knock it. I support it. Listen, it's made a lot of people successful, right?
Yeah.
But I think you just can't be that. Right. And even when I encourage my agents, I said, listen, some of you guys don't like hitting the phones. That's cool. Right. But just understand, doesn't matter where the lead came in through. Right. If it came in through InstaHomes marketing, through your own direct marketing, or if you got a lead through your own social media content creation. Right. That doesn't mean just because you get a lead through social media, that's going to guarantee a sale. Right. You still have to call that prospect.
You still got to pick up the phone
You still got to pick up the phone no matter what, right? So just develop that habit and just do it in high volume, right? Because, again, hitting those phones and calling people, it unlocks a skill set that I think is so underrated, right?
100%. Every time I get on the phones, you know what I picture myself in? Like the Wolf of Wall Street, bro. That's what I picture, just the Wolf of Wall Street. Because that's what I used to do before I got into this business.
Okay.
I was interning to get my Series 7 stockbroker.
Oh my.
So when I went to the firm, they had all the new guys. I was one of the new guys
All right.
standing up from 9 to 3, no seat, just a stack of
bro.
papers.
Yes.
Just call these guys, pitch these guys, tell them this, tell them that. Script already laid out, and I was the number one guy on the phones. You know, and like I said in previous episodes, that was the first time I drove a Mercedes and, a CLS. I don't even know what it was. It was a CLS white coupe. And I was stalling it. Like, the guy who owned the firm was like, yo,
what you
you're doing good. He's like, go take my car to lunch. And I didn't even know how to drive the car. So when they say foreign, it was literally foreign to me. It was like I was in a spaceship. I'm like, damn, I don't know how to drive this thing. You know what I mean? But that was just showing me, like, damn, if I could talk to millionaires who I don't even know, pitch them stocks that I have no idea what I'm talking about, then I could do this in real estate without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And yeah, man, that's the beauty of the phones, man. Like, again, I didn't do stocks, but when I started in mortgages, it felt like a boiler room, stock room energy. You know, the guy who trained me, he came from stocks, right? And again, that's what happened in 2002, 2003, right? You know, the stock market went down, right? And they all went into mortgages because it was, the hot thing to do, and it was an unregulated industry. So you have all these stockbrokers just come into an unregulated industry, right? So you can only, obviously, that's why what happened, right? But I love hitting the phones, man. Especially, listen, it's difficult. It's not easy, and I'm not saying, to me it came naturally, right? You know, some people think I have this natural gift to gab, or was born as a natural salesperson. No, not at all. When I first started telemarketing, right, I mumbled and I spoke fast. You know, I grew up in the boroughs, right? I'm a kid from New York City, right? So you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, we talking codes and slangs, right? So, so getting on the phone speaking, like being Carlos Garivia, right, wasn't working for me. Right. And, when my manager told me that they had 3 days to produce those leads on clip, right, that's when I developed this alter ego which was Carl Matthews, right? Because, right, legitimately, Carl Matthews was my alter ego. Because when I'm calling people, listen, my name was challenging for people, right? I'll say, hi, my name is Carlos Garivia and at the time, the name of the firm was Equity Funding. Hi, this is Carlos Garivia from Equity Funding. How's everything going, right? And no, at first I didn't sound like that. Hi, this is Carlos Garivia from Equity Funding. How's everything going, right? And, I was getting objection, like hang up after hang up, right? And I realized, and at first, I couldn't get people past my name. Like, Carlo who? Carlo Garivia? Carlo Garivia? Who? Like, and hang up on me, right? Like, fuck, man, like, this ain't working, right? So then my manager goes, listen, I don't think you need to be Carlos Garivia. I think you need to try a different personality. Why don't you use the name Carl He gave me Carl Michaels, right? And I tried Carl Michaels, but then I went back to the hood with it. And then my boys in the hood, George Michaels? Oh, you George Michaels? I'm like, oh, here you guys go. No, I'm not George Michaels, man. Trying to, insinuate certain things. I'm like, nah, man. And that was another challenge too. It's like, when I was going through this journey, dealing with certain friends and certain people from certain atmospheres where like they feel like you're changing up on them. Like, oh, you're talking like white guy. I'm like, no, I'm not talking like white guy. I'm speaking professionally now. I'm speaking properly now. You can actually understand my words a little bit more clearer now. So it doesn't mean that, it just means that I'm transitioning. But
I'm glad you said that because, all right, perfect example. Look at JayZ. He was Rockefeller, right? Jerseys, head wrap, chains, Rock Nation, totally different person.
Right.
Same guy, totally different person.
Yeah.
Came from the streets, but he knew that he had to go corporate.
Right.
He had to speak different, look different, carry himself different, and just reinvented himself.
Yeah.
So that's important that you brought that up because I see a lot of people who come from our backgrounds who try to get into this business not realizing you literally have to change.
You got to adjust.
You have to change. Yeah, you have to pivot.
Yeah.
Because I used to make calls all the time too. Like, this is Kevin Iglesias. Although my name is a little bit more commercialized because of Julio, Enrique, Gabriel. But still, bro, I called people sometimes where it's like, Kevin, or what's your last name? Iglesias. They're like, oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Like,
where's that
what's
from?
so interesting about it, bro? You know what I mean?
It's a reality.
But it's a subtle racism, right?
Yeah,
that people throw jabs, and it's like, oh, I show up to appointments and like, oh, you're Kevin?
Yeah, exactly.
You're the guy I was speaking to on the phone? Because they didn't, like you said, you have to, you gotta change. You gotta be corporate.
Change. You gotta improve. You gotta listen. If you're not growing, you're dying. And that's the way I feel. And unfortunately for our communities, we are so resistant to change in that regard, right? Um, again, that's a long topic in itself, but you know, if you want to do better, and here's the reality too, because we're people of color, we have to be twice as better and twice as sharper than our white counterparts. And I don't want to say that to create any controversy, but that's just the reality, right? And especially if you want to get in those rooms and you want to get those opportunities, you can't show. I couldn't show up being Carlos then, and expect to get the same opportunities as my counterparts who are shown up as professionals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my counterparts, they're showing up as professionals. And not to plug racism into it or race into it, it's more like a professional thing, right? And I think sometimes like in our communities, we don't want to live up or become that professional, right? We think we could be us and ourselves all the time and think that's gonna always create opportunities. It can, but it's only gonna create a certain amount of opportunities, right?
That's just that's just that hood mentality, that street mentality, right? Because once you start to get corporate and change, like you said, you're changing now.
Yeah. It's the crabs in a barrel theory, right?
100%.
Every time a crab reaches the ledge, right, he's about to pull himself out, there's another one that pulls him right from underneath, right? And says, no, you stay here, right? And that was challenging, but again, you got to have the blinders. When you want to be successful in anything, man, you got to take the hate that with it. You know what I'm saying? You just can't take the good with it, right?
No.
The hate, the bad comes with it, right? So, and that hate sometimes comes from the people that you're closest to, right? And the love and the support comes from people that don't even know you, right? And you just have to accept that, right? And I think that was challenging for me too, expecting, people to show up and support, right? But that's not reality, man. Because again, number one, people may not want to see you succeed and win. Number two, their support may show up differently. It may not be a repost on social media, but maybe a referral, right? Or maybe speak in your room in rooms that you're not in, right? So, but then again, people just that's not their personality, right? So
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to mindset, right?
true indeed.
Doesn't matter what you're going through, what you've been through, where you're from,
Right.
It comes down to your mindset. How
true
badly
indeed.
do you want it?
Yeah, how bad?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always when I started transitioning, from getting out that hood mentality into real estate and corporate,
Right.
I would always look at myself, be like, would I want to do business with you?
Right.
Look at myself.
Right.
Would I want to do business
Right.
with you? Because before real estate, bro, I had the Gucci belts
Right.
on, pants
Yeah,
sagging,
yeah.
do-rag on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was just a completely different person.
Culture, yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? And then I was like, damn, I gotta let go of that. And if I stay around that, it's gonna affect,
Yeah,
my
it's gonna-
business.
Yeah, true indeed, man. And that's a part of the process, man. Like you outgrow. People think that you outgrew them. No, you outgrew your old self. You outgrew yourself. Like you just when you want a better life, you can't do the same shit over and over. You can't be the same you, and that's just reality, man. Like and everyone can't go, right?
No, that's important you said that. Not everybody can go.
Not everyone can go with you,
No.
and that was I think one of my, I don't want to say mistakes, but wanted to put all my peoples on. Like once I got it figured out and I started becoming team leaders in mortgages, a team leader in mortgages, and then I branched off into real estate. Like, all right, now that I got it going, like let me see who I could bring in from my team, from my friends, from my circle into this opportunity and help it grow. And again, it's tough because not everyone has the same vision and ambition as you, right? And because they don't, you get mad and you get disappointed with those friends because you hold them to. You would think that they have the same ambition and motivation as you do because they're your friend. Like, oh, if you're hanging out with me, you got to be on the same page as me. But that's not reality, man.
Well, I always tell people, and I agree with you, you can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves. It'll just never work because trust me, I've been there. I've gotten frustrated. I've gotten angry. It's like, bro, why don't you know how? Like, why can't you figure it out?
Yeah.
Like, if I could figure it out,
Right.
and we came from the same place,
Right.
why can't you figure it out?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that I completely agree with you. But back in the days, again, back to mortgages, when you were doing the mortgages, they were giving mortgages to people with just a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
You were flipping burgers at McDonald's, doesn't matter how much you were making. When a house is yours.
Yeah, you could have been a home health aide, but when the bank called to verify your employment, whoever answered the phone just needs to say you're a registered nurse.
Damn.
And there you go, you're a homeowner, right? Because it was crazy. I don't regret anything from that era other than the fact that I didn't invest money. Like my problem's never been making money. I always knew how to make money, right? You know, when I look back on that and all those opportunities, I'm like, damn, I could have invested more, right?
Was it the fear that held you back, or just the lack of
The lack
money?
of guidance, right? And
Okay.
I could give you a list of reasons,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, mindset wasn't right. You know, my mindset wasn't there. You know, if I
Yeah.
had the mindset today, then it'd be a whole different
Oh
dynamic,
yeah, I say
right?
that all the time. If I knew what I knew now back then, I would have bought a lot more real estate.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure. But it was really mindset, you know, and again, outgrowing my old Carlos or just like wanting to like be again ego. You know, I'm young, I'm making money. You know, I'm trying to be the man out here. You know, be the leader of my crew. You know, so when we go out, it's on me. Bottles on me. I mean, we were young and reckless. You know, even my friends from mortgages, like I made friends from the industry. We all making money and we live reckless lives. I'm saying like we're working. All right, you want to go out tonight? Okay, cool. Let's go to the mall, buy an outfit, then we'll go out to eat. Then we'll go to the club afterwards. But if we go to the club, we're gonna stop at the strip club pregame there first, and then go out to the club. And then after that, we'll go to after hours and all this crazy, and then be at the office at 9 o'clock in the morning, hitting the phones all day, right? You know, that was the environment that then the culture. You know, listen to Josh Altman speak at the Gold Bar. I was like, holy shit, our stories and you know were very during that time were very similar or parallel, man. Like that's what it was. It was so easy to make money. You get the check, you fuck up the check, you get a new one next week, right? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like you just splurge,
Charge it
right?
to the game.
Just charge it to the game,
But
man.
you know what's crazy that you said that, you know, with Josh, right? Is it's amazing seeing people at that level,
Right.
and then you have the same story.
Right.
So for me, that always inspired me, you know, to see
Yeah.
people like,
Yeah.
damn, we come from the same. I didn't even know, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm going so hard for Barbara Corcoran, because
Yeah.
outside looking in, you see this Caucasian lady, you think she's
Mhm.
always been rich, but not. She's
No, she has a deep story, man.
yeah, deep story.
Deep
Like
story, man.
didn't grow up with money,
Right.
wasn't book smart in school, you
Right.
know what I mean? Like she just was creative, was a hustler, knew how to make money, and just
Yeah.
took off.
Yeah, man. And listen, that's why I appreciate what you're doing because your trajectory is there, right? I'm gonna step more into this space. I promise I'm gonna step more into this space because again, I think we need people from our communities to look at us as those next ones up, as the ones that yes, it is possible you can do it, right? Because again, you know, I love Barbara, I love Joshua Altman, I love Ryan Serhant, right? But I need to see some of us up there, right? And stepping in that same light. You know what I'm saying? And sharing their story to like really give the inspiration, right? Because again, especially in the Spanish community, man, there's so much opportunity, man. Like we're growing not just as a community, but I mean in home ownership.
Yeah, I mean it's
I
an
mean
all
the
time high now.
stats, man.
Yeah,
The stats
stat
are coming
wise.
out. So we definitely need more of us to like really support us through this, right?
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, and I don't get lost into the social media. I just knew that I had to be consistent. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I had to continue to put the content out there. Like look at Gary Vee, right? Putting out the content
Right.
way before like anybody ever thought the internet was gonna be a
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
thing. Everybody thought it was just a fad.
Right.
But I told my wife the other day, I was like, imagine I started doing this when I got into the business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It'll just take the brand, the content into a whole nother level. So I always tell
Indeed.
people, look, get started. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how late it may think you may
Right.
think it is,
Right.
but it's better to start than to not start at all.
Yeah, and I'm realizing that, to not overthink it,
Yeah.
right? And I guess for me, getting into this space of wanting to create content, I guess I don't know. I guess I always felt like I was waiting for the right time, right? And I'm realizing that there's no right time,
No,
right?
you just gotta
There's
do
no
it.
right time. And over these last couple months, I had a very challenging time in my personal life, right? That like, all right, I'm sick of myself on dimming my own light now. Now I'm like, you know what? Enough with the bullshit. Just do the work and do what you need to do, right? Because again, I'm shortchanging myself, and I know I'm shortchanging many people out there by not sharing my story, not sharing my experiences, right? And providing value, right? And obviously, yes, doing it for the customers and attract business, but also to, I don't know, man, share whatever knowledge and knowledge that I have to hopefully help someone in their journey that's looking to get into entrepreneurship again to real estate.
My advice for you is just share pretty much a little bit of everything. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
All right.
Because look, some people need to hear it from you. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I learned from when I was backstage with Earn Your Leisure, bro, at one of their events. They're like, look, even if you cover the same topics we're covering, some people may not listen to us. Some people may need to hear it from you because they're your people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Your tribe.
Yeah,
your tribe may not follow their tribe, right?
Exactly. So when he said that, when they said that, I was just like, damn, it just clicked. You know what I mean? And believe it or not, a lot of my content, what resonates the most with people, sure, it's the value, the education that I provide, but again, it's like the story. You being you, you showing that, it doesn't matter what you look like, you're just making it happen by any means necessary. Trust me, when you said that about, working harder than our white counterpart, it's true. I got a tattoo on my hand, neck. I used to cover it up. Now I just don't because I'm just so comfortable in my own skin that, I've reached a level of success, thank God, that I just like, I could talk to anybody, bro.
Right, exactly.
I'm comfortable around anybody.
Right. Because you've been through the experiences. And you push yourself
I
to
failed
be
over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, I failed to like where I was dead broke. Go to the bodega. I couldn't even buy anything. Card decline. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, Bobby, can I get this on credit? I got you tomorrow, right?
Nah, I hit them with the, I'll be right back. I never came back. I was too embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you got to go through that experience, man. Like that's what makes this journey and make the process that much more rewarding and fulfilling, man.
Yeah.
It's like when you're able to look back and see how bad it really was for you, man. And now you're looking at things like, oh shit, I'm like not all the way where I want to be, but I'm not there anymore.
It's a blessing, bro.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. And another thing that I've been working on is just soaking it in because I'm so like, I'm my biggest critic. So once I reach a certain level, I'm like, but what's next? I know I could reach another level where I'm just not soaking it and appreciating what I have in the moment. Right. So
yeah, that's a challenge, man. Is when your ambition is high, you forget to be present in the moment, man. And you got to be able to have that balance, man, for sure.
So for you, like, what made you start your own like brokerage? Like, what was that? Like, I got to do my own thing.
Well, failed partnerships, number one. Okay. But also before the failed partnerships, I first started running this organization, and I helped build it, and we had tremendous success, especially coming out of the crash in 2010. Like we figured out a way to be creative in a down market, in a shit market, right? By just selling all these renovated homes, building a network of investors, guys who buy fix and flip homes, and just marketing and selling these homes, with just 3.5% down, full sales concession included, right? But again, I'm selling homes in times that, homes that I'm selling for 1.2, 1.3. Back then I'm selling for 500,000, right? 550, and all you needed was, an $18,000 down payment and a $60,000 household income to qualify for that mortgage, right? So, it really helped me build my business, right? And helped me build a name for myself, especially with the investors. And in that situation, I not to say that I felt entitled, but I kind of did. I kind of felt like, from where I met you at and where we are now, when we ended, right? I'm like, we came a long way, and not to ever again. I didn't want to be egotistical and say, hey, I'm the heartbeat, but I knew I was the heartbeat of that company, right? So I knew if I moved, right, and that's what ended up happening, right? I realized towards the end I was never going to get what was a fair deal. And I'm not saying I wanted 50-50, right? Just a fair deal where I could make more and the team could make more, everyone can make more, right? And, the leadership was resistant to that change, and I went off with a friend of mine and a few other friends of mine to try to open up an office together. And we had this very ambitious idea, rented out a 5,000 square foot office, right? You're going to handle acquisitions. We're going to handle retail. We're going to do all these dynamic things. And, lo and behold, before, not even 2 months after we got the office ready for operation, 2 of the 4 partners pull out. And then it was just me and one other partner. And we tried working it in 2 different personalities. And then I opened up InstaHomes, right? But I guess to answer your question, you mentioned Hove before, right? And I think I have that Hove-like mentality and attitude where, when he couldn't get a deal, he just want to open up his own label because he'd rather have his own shit, right? I kind of felt that way. I'm like, when I was in that free agent space, it's like, all right, do I go and work with a big brand, or do I try to build my own brand and try to roll the dice on myself? So that's what led, what pushed me towards it. I think what really pushed me towards it too was the name InstaHomes. I don't think if I would have came up with that name, and if I couldn't come up with another dynamic name, I probably would just went with the bigger brand, right? But once I came up with that name, I'm like, oh shit, I could see that being a good brand right there. So once that happened and it all manifested, I'm like, you know what? Let me just push it. Which again, it wasn't an easy journey. I mean, I didn't start InstaHomes until March 2020, bro.
Oh, so right during COVID.
Right, yeah, right
yeah.
at the beginning of the pandemic, bro.
Yeah.
Launched March, 2 weeks later we're in lockdown, bro. So, and what sucked is, because it was a new entity and a new business, and I didn't have taxes filed for the company, I didn't qualify for a PPP loan. So while everyone's getting PPP loans and all this shit, I'm like stressing and struggling, bro, with that business. And with 3-4 years in now, going on 4 years now, and I would probably say this, we're doing the best that we have been doing currently than we have in the first 3 years.
Congratulations, man. That's amazing because, starting your own brokerage and then, recruiting talent and finding people is not easy.
Yeah, and hold on, not to interject, but not this December, but the December 2022, I was at a crossroads where I'm like, and I'm talking to my soon-to-be partner, right, Dwayne. I'm like, yo, D, listen, bro, this shit ain't making sense. I mean, we're either gonna have to close down this office, right, and go into like a co-share space, go to like a WeWork and downsize and cut back expenses, or, just go to a different brand and do that thing, right? Or, which again, my ego and my pride, right, was like, I always have this question. I always, when I'm ever in this space and I'm at a crossroads, I'm like, if you walked away from this situation, would you have walked away feeling like you gave it your all, that you gave it your best effort? Like, did you dedicate yourself to this brand as much as you could dedicate yourself to that other brand that you helped build? And when I asked myself that question, the answer was evident. I said, no, right? I didn't. So I said to myself, I said, listen, give yourself 6 months of that dedicated effort and just be a better leader. Just do things differently, right? And see where you're at in 6 months before you make that decision, right? And in those 6, and when I gave myself that timeline, that deadline, right? I just unleashed this whole different way of operating, this whole different way of being, right? As a leader, right? Because I thought I thought my leadership was gonna produce by leading by example, right? By showing people, hey, listen, I'm out here getting these lists, I'm getting these sales, that it will help motivate them. But I realized that, I was losing, and the reason why my business wasn't growing because I was spending too much time working in my business and not putting time working on my business, which was developing the agents, supporting the agents, helping them through building their business. So since then, and since I put that focus and I incorporate more of that, that's why I feel more solid, and that's why it's not just as stressful because it's not just me that's producing to pay the bills. Now it's me, and now the team's producing, right? So, that's why, and I think that's important, man. When you're going through when you're going through these ups and downs, man, like when you're at that low point, ask yourself, what could you be doing better, right? Are you really giving yourself the best effort that you need to? Are you failing enough, right? And if you're not failing enough, then, and if you're not, and if you can answer that question honestly, then, you just have to do the work then, right? Just identify what it is that you need to do, right? What you need to do better on, write that down, and just stay focused on that, right? And that's what I did, right? I journaled, I stayed consistent, I hold myself accountable, and just started doing the things that, what I started listening to other successful people do. Like, I never journaled and I never wrote my to-do list. I started doing that, and I saw the difference in my business. Now, I know for some people that doesn't work. They're like, I don't need to do that. I could make my money not do it. But for me, I needed to do that, right? I needed that structure. So.
Certain things work for certain people, you know what I mean? So when your back's against the wall, man, you got to survive. You got to make it happen by any means. Man. So it says a lot about somebody's character, and then look at 2023. So many agents left the industry. Right. Why? Because they thought it was going to be easy.
I was happy.
Me too.
When rates went up, I said, thank God. And I'm saying, because people are going to realize that it takes more than just TikToks and Reels to make money.
Everybody stopped dancing. Everybody stopped dancing in houses. I'm like, all right, good.
Because now it's going to come down to skill for skill. Who's gonna be able to, not, hit those phones, call those leads, engage with the people, right? And do the work, right? So So yeah, man, it's been a journey, man, and I'm looking forward to it, right? I'm 20 years in, 21 years in, and I feel like I'm just getting started.
That's awesome.
I feel like I'm just getting started,
Yeah.
and you got, I think everyone needs to have that passion for this business. Like it's not, you got to have a passion. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not passionate about this industry, then get out of it, right? If you're in it for the money and you want to, and you're in it for the freedom to work whenever you want and make money whenever you feel like working, then just get out of it and spare us, right? Spare all us realtors from having to deal with you when we have a listing and you have a potential buyer, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just wasting our time, right? Like, just really be into it, right? And have passion about what you're doing, right?
I agree with you 100%. I always tell people, look, once you understand the business and real estate and you want to be like phenomenally successful, where you walk down the block and people know who you are, just because you do, I've seen your face on this house. I've seen,
Yeah.
like, that's when you start to become like a brand. Like,
Yeah.
you have to carry yourself, think differently as a brand. You're a public figure now. So what
Right.
you say
Yeah.
and what you do on the internet and
You're
videos or
responsible.
your personal life, that's all going to come back to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know how many people, like, I've presented offers to, and they're like, "Oh shoot, yo, you're from the podcast." Da, da, da.
Uh-huh.
Like, they get excited, like,
Yeah,
"I want to
yeah,
put a deal
yeah,
together with you."
yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? So, but that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, brand wise, it's like,
Yeah.
you just
And
got to
wanna-
get it out there.
And I appreciate you, man, because you have the humbleness and you have the humility, right? You're not unreachable, you're not unapproachable, right? And aside from all the success that you're experiencing, right, you're still human, right? And you're still making yourself available, and you don't see that often, right? Sometimes you see people with their success gets to their head, and they're like, well, yeah, bro, yeah, I am that guy. Yeah, that's right.
I'm him.
Yeah, I'm him, right? I'm Timothy, right? And that's a turnoff, man. Like, who wants to work with a person like that?
I am Carl Matthews.
I am Carl Matthews. Yo, Carl Matthews, man.
Nah, but you know what? I think it's different, right? When it's just, it all depends on how you were raised, right? What
For
you've been
sure.
through in life, Because trust me, I've been on top of the world and I felt my world crashing down.
Right.
And I've been back to the bottom.
Right.
I'm like, damn, I got to start all over again.
Yeah.
So once God humbles you,
Right.
it's a different humbleness that you walk
Yeah.
around with. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man.
Not only that, I didn't grow up with money my whole life. You know what I
Right.
mean? So this is just all a blessing to me. This is just
Yeah.
icing on the cake. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
This is just my hard work being rewarded. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just building relationships, doing the right thing,
Yeah.
doing business, right? So I'm always reachable. I don't think I'm
Because life can change in an instant. bro.
100%. You
Life
just
can
never
change in
know.
an instant.
And if it's not money, God forbid something happens to you health-wise where
That's what I'm saying.
you're not, physically well anymore. You just
Th-
try to
there's-
treat everybody with respect.
True. Yeah, there's something that I did, right? So Brian Tracy is one of my favorite people to listen to, right? I listen to his audiobooks as often as I can, right? And when I was at this point in my life a couple years ago, but I couldn't figure out who I was or what's my purpose and all this stuff. He says something, if you don't know who you are, you don't know what your purpose is, write your own eulogy.
That's deep.
That's deep, bro.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I was like, that was changing. I won't say it was life changing, but it really
Open your eyes.
opened up my
The
eyes
eye-opener.
because again, when I was reflecting on my life at that point, what would people have said about me was more material and financial based, right? And yeah, they're gonna say good things. Oh, he was always a stand-up guy. He was always this and that. But is that what writing that eulogy? I realized that I don't even want people mentioning my success, right? I don't even want people talking about whatever financial success is. I don't want to be defined by that. I want to be defined by, my morals, my principles, who I was as a human, right? And being more of a humanitarian, right? So I encourage anyone, if you're in that space where you're like, I don't know who I am or what I want to do or what my purpose is, write your own eulogy. Go through that process, cry a little bit, because I did a little bit. I was like, oh shit, like, because it's tough. Like, who wants to write about themselves being dead?
That's what I'm saying. That's deep.
That's deep.
I've
But
never thought of
you
that.
realize when you're going through that process, you realize like you learn to you'll find who you want to become. You understand? You'll find like, oh, I want to be this. I want people to say this when I'm dead. I want people to say that when I'm gone, right? And then from there, you should be able to have a new beginning, hopefully, right?
I hope so. Bro, I appreciate you coming out. It's a far drive. I know you got to drive back. Anything else you could leave us off with?
Oh wow. Man, struggle with your shit, man. Just struggle with it. You know, you can't, especially in real estate. I know on Wall Street they say you eat what you kill, right? I say in real estate you eat what you harvest, right? That's why they call it farming, right? And every day you have to show up to your farmer's market and just plant your seeds, right? Just go into the field, plant your seeds, and water your seeds, and understand that some crops will grow in 30 days, right? Some are going to take 3 to 6 months. Some are going to take an apple tree takes 6 to 8 years to grow, right? So you got, if your intentions are to be in real estate, understand that this is a long game. It's not a short game. And whether someone's ready to buy or sell a home today or in 6 months or 6 years down the line, who cares? Your mindset should be, I'll be here when you're ready, right? So just be patient and struggle with it and constantly water your business, right? And nurture it.
I agree, man. Where can people reach out to you?
You can always find me on social media, carlos.instahomes, right? That's my handle for Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, those are my 2 main channels I use.
Dope, man. All right, this is another $1 million episode. Appreciate you, coming by again.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you for the second chance. Thank you, man.
Real Estate and Chill, man. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you share this episode, hit the like, and we'll see you on the next one.